Have you ever considered how a moment of humility can change the course of your life? The book of James in the New Testament has a poignant chapter, chapter 4, that delves into this very concept. So sit back and listen as we explore the wisdom of humility according to James. James chapter 4 begins with a question. What causes fights and quarrels among you? The answer lies not in external circumstances, but within ourselves. It is our desires and passions that lead us astray, causing discord and conflict. Here, James encourages us to exercise humility, acknowledging our shortcomings and seeking peace instead of strife. In the second verse, James reminds us that we do not have because we do not ask God. This is a call to humble ourselves before the Almighty, acknowledging that we cannot achieve anything on our own. Our strength and success come from God, and we must ask Him for what we need. The third verse cautions against asking with wrong motives. It warns us to not be selfish in our prayers and desires, but to seek what is good and noble. This verse encourages us to humble our hearts and align our desires with God's will. The fourth verse calls out adulterous people, referring to those who love the world more than God. It's a reminder to prioritize our love for God above all else, a humbling act of devotion and loyalty. In the fifth verse, James reassures us that God jealously longs for the Spirit He has caused to dwell in us. This is a comfort, reminding us of God's deep love for us, a love that should inspire humility and gratitude. Verse 6 brings a promise. God opposes the proud but shows favor to the humble. Here, James underscores the importance of humility, showing us that it's the key to receiving God's favor. The seventh verse instructs us to submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from us. This is a powerful testament to the strength that comes from humbling ourselves before God and rejecting evil. Verse 8 invites us to draw near to God, and He will draw near to us. It's a promise of God's reciprocation of our humble efforts to seek Him. The 9th and 10th verses call for mourning, weeping, and humility before the Lord, promising that He will lift us up. Here, James teaches us that humility, even in sorrow, will lead to exaltation. In the final verses, James warns against judging others, a task that belongs to God alone. It's a reminder to stay humble, recognizing that we too are under God's judgment. To summarize, James chapter 4 teaches us that humility is about recognizing our dependence on God, aligning our desires with His will, prioritizing our love for Him, and refraining from judgment. It promises that God favors the humble and that humility will bring us closer to Him. It's a call to practice humility in our daily lives, a virtue that can indeed change the course of our lives. So the next time you find yourself in a moment of pride or conflict, remember the wisdom of James chapter 4. Choose humility and watch how it transforms your life and your relationship with God.